Good morning. Wow, so I had not heard Miriam's opening statements before just now, and it only underscores how like-minded Google and MasterCard are as brands. So I've got about 20 minutes and 30 slides to convince you that we have entered the third wave of digital retail. Opening up not only, oh, thank you, in case I get parched. Remarkable opportunities for innovation, but also for incumbents posing a great risk of disruption. But before I get there, a few things about me. First, I was born and raised in Silicon Valley. My parents still live just behind that purple Yahoo logo. And secondly, I'm a lawyer by trade, so this is the part of the presentation where I proffer my disclaimer. My views are informed by my life in the Valley and my experience with U.S. retail. I leave it to the experts in the room on Latin America and payments to determine where your region falls in the wave of digital retail. Just a few things about Google. Some Silicon Valley fans in the audience. I've seen the ticker in the other room. We do about 100 billion searches a month. More remarkable is now more than half of those are submitted by a smartphone. We as a global company have achieved our mobile moment. That has far-reaching implications for Google as a business. And retail is actually leading the way. Retail and travel, as a matter of fact, is moving to mobile more rapidly than the rest of the industries. And so, as Miriam pointed out, we no longer go online, we live online. And we digest bite-sized chunks of information. We no longer spend 20 minutes in a desktop session researching a product. It happens on the metro. It happens on the toilet, apparently. All right, so first wave of digital retail started with a bold pronouncement by this man, Marc Andreessen. He basically said in January of 2013, software will eat brick-and-mortar retail. Retail is over as we know it. The pure plays have won. And sure enough, if you look at Google search trends, right about the time he was making those statements in mid-2012, early 2013, we saw a spike in the term showrooming and its partner term, web rooming. And it set up this notion of a zero-sum game. That is, pure play will take from brick and mortar, or brick and mortar will take from pure play. And a bunch of these charts were generated. Death lists, right? Decades-old companies, in some cases, centuries-old companies. They're done, they're finished. Marc Andreessen says so. But if you actually look at the numbers, they've done quite well. They've recognized the opportunity for innovation and growth. And many of them have grown their top line. Bed Bath & Beyond near Amazon growth metrics. And even those who struggled a little bit, they found where they can drive growth. Best Buy, for instance, 40% growth online from 2013 to today. Its nearest vertical competitor, Newegg, 1%. So brick and mortar retail, not dead yet. In fact, if you take Amazon out of the Internet Retailer 500 in the United States, brick and mortar retail grew at twice the rate of pure play retailers. And so that begs the questions, well, if there are winners and losers, if this is indeed a zero-sum game, who has lost? The pure plays who didn't adapt. And in fact, one of those is an Andreessen investment, but I won't say which. All right, so we're no longer in the zero-sum game. People realize that a multi-channel experience is the consumer experience we should be moving toward. So second wave, we get this gentleman. Anybody recognize this gentleman? Andy Dunn, founder and CEO of Bonobos. Started as men's pants and has moved into a vertically integrated specialty apparel retailer. And he published a post about 6 months after Mark saying, it is next to impossible to make a pure play business successful. In fact, he went so far to say, is the only way to be successful as a pure play retailer is under the ticker AMZN. And he talked about diapers.com and Zappos. Well, he's a pure play retailer. What does he do now? Well, he talks about omni-channel. And right about that point, G, you start seeing search trends around the notion of omni-channel. And it hasn't waned like showrooming has. It continues to become a global interest. And so what do the pure play retailers do? Well, many of them established physical consumer retail presences. In Bonobos' case, they took their last round of venture financing and built guide shops, where the apparel purchasing experience is as if you were in a department store or any other apparel retailer, except for one thing. You do not walk out with product. They carry no inventory. You try on the goods, you place an online order in the store. Why on earth would you do that? Well, one, to touch the silk, right? Are you going to invest in a blazer without knowing how it fits? And what they found was average order volume was twice that of online. The guide shops were a primary means of marketing and a huge growth engine. Rent the One Runway, very similar. Rent the One Runway, you rent a dress for that one special occasion, open up a storefront. Well, I like this one too, and that one, and maybe that one. And so they saw equal increases in average order volume. Birchbox down here on the lower left, they are a health and beauty subscription service. And subscriptions are hard. That's a big hurdle of conversion. So open a storefront and offer a la carte purchases. And they've seen their conversion rates skyrocket. And the one I love the most, how many of you have heard of Warby Parker? Wow, not many. This is great. I'm providing new content. I'm adding value. Warby Parker sells eyeglasses. They do $3,000 a square foot. That puts them behind Apple and ahead of Tiffany. And not to be left out, you had the brick and mortar guys. Upper left is Nordstrom. They adopted omni-channel early. They invested in infrastructure and flexible fulfillment. They removed incentives for sales associates to drive sales through a particular channel. So if the customer couldn't find the blouse in that particular Nordstrom, but it was available at the crosstown Nordstrom, it was shipped same day. Or if it were available online in an endless aisle experience, it was similarly delivered to the customer. They were agnostic as to channel. They also invested in corporate development. They acquired some pure play retailers that were on brand, like Hot Look. And then this is a very interesting collaboration with Shoes of Prey, where women go into this table and you'll see they've got tablets at the display and they customize their own shoes. And it's probably worth mentioning that Nordstrom also carries Bonobos. Best Buy. They say necessity is the mother of invention. Best Buy needed to adapt or die. And they were one of the first to adopt price and data transparency. So if they were losing orders due to showrooming, lowest price, they would match it on the floor, on the spot. But more importantly, they exposed their data to third parties and started participating in marketplaces, and equally, they launched their own marketplace. As someone who is responsible for product partnerships at Google, my biggest hurdle is data and the quality of that data from a product standpoint. And Best Buy unlocked it. They also were at the forefront of buy online, pick up in store for obvious reasons. You don't want to pay either the consumer or Best Buy for a plasma TV that's this size. So buy it online, come on in, pick it up, we'll put it in your car. Oh, and do you need the cables for that TV? How about an audio system? 50% of their online commerce is pick up in store. And then Target and Walmart both have heavily invested in mobile. Target was actually quite late to the game. I don't know if you remember, but 3 or 4 years ago, Amazon was actually running Target.com. Think about that for a second. Amazon was running Target.com. But they replatformed, and their president of Omnichannel, Casey Carl, coined the phrase, mobile is the front door to the store. And so they launched this Cartwheel app that is deals-oriented, but as much discovery-oriented, helping the guest sort of navigate the box. And then Walmart, quick to follow suit, they launched Savings Catcher, whereby if you scan your in-store receipt into the app and they find a cheaper price, they issue you a gift card, which is a double win for them, right? Because it's a gift card to use on your next in-store visit. So the big box guys have wholly adopted omnichannel. Google ourselves are investing heavily in omnichannel. How many of you are familiar with Google Express? I wouldn't expect many, because we're only in the US. All right, so Google Express is our effort to unlock local store inventory and deliver it to consumers same day. So we actually have a fleet, a branded fleet of couriers picking and packing from the shelves of over 50 national retailers, Costco, Target, Kohl's, PetSmart, Whole Foods, and we're delivering it to consumers same day. And we actually worked with your colleagues in the US to conduct an incrementality study for about 5 of them. And the data was compelling enough that your colleagues are actually publishing a white paper that I hope to have in market by Q1. And they looked at a couple of things. They looked at existing consumers of that omnichannel retailer who joins Google Express and how that impacts their in-store spend. And the big number I have here is that was the impact on in-store AOV for one of the partners for whom MasterCard conducted the incrementality analysis. And our presumption is that we were able to facilitate discovery of more inventory that these consumers didn't know sat in the retailer's box. So we're seeing increase in in-store AOV, increase in transactions, and ultimately increase in aggregate spend. All great things. This is why I think we've entered the third wave. This is how omnichannel is represented. You see very beautiful stylized logos for each channel, and then you have a faceless, presumably male consumer. I'm not quite sure. And at least that has a person in the picture. Then you have this one. It's just a mess. They don't even care about the consumer. It's just a cart. Forget about retention and loyalty. And then this is my favorite. How do you make sense of that? The only people who think in terms of channel are merchants and their partners like you and me. So, we usher in the third wave focused on these two. And Miriam said something that I'm actually going to take back. She said, content that sparks engagement. I think that's a fantastic phrase. I wish I had thought of it. I would have slapped it on a slide. You would have thought I was smart. So, we're in the third wave. This is my definition, created for this event. Bang on it if you want, challenge it if you want. But the point is, we as merchants and enabling partners need to engage with consumers where they are in their natural habitat and give them what they want. I think the other piece here is really, in that environment, the customer becomes the point of sale. So a few more data snippets. This is proprietary research that we released just before the holiday. 54% of holiday shoppers intend to shop on their commute or in their downtime. Interesting. So what does that mean? Well, it means we all got to release buy buttons. Not really. But there is a lot of friction on mobile, and we need your help to remove that friction. Pinterest, Facebook, Twitter. Getting back to my data point, I actually think what Stripe is doing is very interesting. They still foist too much responsibility on the merchants, but adding inventory rails to their payments rails such that you can enable a buying experience anywhere, quite interesting. I would love your help to enable that. Big box retail still needs help, but SMBs, wow. If you could help us understand what is on the shelf at any given time, huge opportunity for both of us. On the Google side, it's a little hard to see. The third most to the left jersey actually says buy on Google. So if you're searching for a Steph Curry jersey and you want to buy it right then, right there, you can. We've been experimenting with this button for about a quarter now. We presumed the happy use case would be if they're on an Android device, they're very likely signed into Google. They've also very likely created or stored billing credentials through transacting in the Play Store. So if we have a logged-in user with card on file, pretty easy to facilitate a transaction right then and there in the ad unit. But what we found is quite interesting. People who have those credentials on file with us, in some use cases, still navigate to the retailer's mobile site, in this case, fanatics.com. And we actually saw the inverse to be true. People who weren't logged in to Google, people who didn't have cards on file with us, really wanted to transact with that button. So what does that tell us? It tells us there are some use cases where people want to transact right then and there, and there are some that are in the window shop, search and browse mode. How do we recognize that? And where I think Google is uniquely positioned is we do have assets to enable mobile experiences beyond mobile transactions. So this is from the same holiday study. 82% of mobile shoppers will use their mobile device in store. Well, they probably don't want a buy on Google or a buy on Pinterest or a buy on Twitter experience when they're using that handheld device in store. What do they want to do? And so one of the things we've launched using local price and availability data from participating retailers, in this case, Bed Bath & Beyond, we actually, once we recognize some means of local intent, In this case, it's in Manhattan. This user is looking for a coffee maker in Manhattan. We'll actually acknowledge that it's available in store near them. So it's a little bit hard to see, but in each of those ad units, if you look in the lower right corner, there's a little maps pin and it says in store. And in most cases, we'll actually tell them how far away the store is from their current location. And what we've seen in the last year is 85% increase in those local clicks. People actually saying, I do. I need that now. It's close. I'm going to go to the store. So this is in market. I think we've got it across 23 countries now. But then what do you do? To Carl's point, if mobile is the front door to the store, then what do you do? So we're experimenting with two things. First, for consumers who have opted into Google Now, how many of you are familiar with Google Now? All right, more hands need to be raised by next year. It's available on iOS as well as Android. If you're on iOS, install the Google Search app like you haven't already. And if you enable this Google Now experience, what we will do is we will monitor your Gmail, your calendar, your Chrome browse history, and we will return relevant results to you without you even asking. And so one of the killer use cases is actually in travel. So the cards that have popped for me this morning are details about my American flight out of here this afternoon. But in a retail experience, through geofencing, if we recognize you're in front of this REI store and you've shopped for goods that are available in that REI store, we will automatically generate a shopping list. So the only thing the consumer has done is landed on either those product pages or clicked on an ad. So automatically generating the shopping list. And then the mock to the right, we're working with our retail partners to determine what is the appropriate front door to the store. For REI, which is a lifestyle recreation brand, it's lifestyle content. For a big box retailer like the Home Depot, it's probably in-store nav. I need a hammer, get me to the aisle with hammers. And for a high-low retailer like Macy's, it's probably what's on special that day. So these are both in alpha, and we're working with retailers in the US currently, but looking to scale it internationally. And then this is vaporware. But this gets to Miriam's point about content that drives engagement. All right, so I've actually walked into this REI. I'm looking for rucksacks. I open my phone. I'm one of those 82%. What should I see? Well, you should probably see reviews about products that are in aisle. And for rucksacks in particular, you should get one that fits. And not only do we have the largest search engine on the planet, we have the second largest search engine on the planet, YouTube. And there's so much commercial content, unleveraged or underleveraged, I should say, commercial content that we can put there. All right, I am at time, but thankfully I only have one more slide. So these bite-sized chunks, we think of them in terms of micro moments. How can we capture that intent in those micro moments on the metro, at the aisle? And we think in terms of, I want to know, I want to go, and I want to buy. If I want to learn about a product, then it's informational content. If I do have local intent, I want to drive to a store, we should facilitate that. And if I do want to buy on a mobile device, then we absolutely should enable that transaction. Thank you very much.